I ran a calculation last night that I cannot stop thinking about. $500,000. A house or stocks. 30 years. Same starting point. Completely different endings. The gap between the two is so massive, it actually made me question everything I thought I knew about wealth. Let me walk you through this. You find a $500,000 home, 20% down, that is $100,000. You finance $400,000 at 6.5% over 30 years. Your monthly payment is around $2,500. Over 30 years, you will pay $900,000 in total mortgage payments. But here is what most people miss. Property taxes, 1.2% per year. That is $6,000 annually. Over 30 years, $180,000. Insurance, $1,500 per year. $45,000 over 30 years. Maintenance, 1% of the home's value annually. $5,000 per year. $150,000 over 30 years. Add it all up. $900,000 in mortgage. $180,000 in taxes. $45,000 in insurance. $150,000 in maintenance. $1.3 million total to own a $500,000 house. Now let's say the house appreciates 3% per year. After 30 years, it is worth $1.2 million. You sell, you walk away with $1.2 million, but you spent $1.3 million to get there. You are basically breaking even. Now here is where it gets crazy. What if you invested that same $500,000 in the stock market instead? The S&P 500 averages 10% annually. Over 30 years, $500,000 becomes $8.7 million. $8.7 million. No mortgage, no taxes, no maintenance, just growth. But you cannot live in stocks. So let's adjust. You rent instead. $2,500 a month, same as the mortgage payment. Over 30 years, that is $900,000 in rent. But your stock portfolio is still growing at 10%. Even pulling out rent money, you end up with around $6.2 million after 30 years. $6.2 million after paying rent for 30 years. With the house, you spent $1.3 million and have a $1.2 million asset, barely breaking even. With stocks, you spent $900,000 on rent and have $6.2 million in investments. You are $5.3 million ahead. The difference is not 10%. It is 5 times more wealth. Now, before you think I am saying never buy a house, let me be clear. I am not. Owning a home is not just financial. It is psychological. Stability, control, a place that is yours. And for many people, that feeling is worth more than extra millions in a brokerage account. But here is what most people get wrong. They buy a house because they think it is the smart financial move. They have been told real estate is the best investment, that renting is throwing money away. Then 30 years later, they realize they are not that far ahead. Meanwhile, the person who rented and invested quietly became a multimillionaire. So here is my take. If you want to buy a house for stability, for peace of mind, for ownership, buy the house. That is valid. But do not buy it thinking it is the best way to build wealth. Mathematically, it is not. Now here's where it gets interesting. What if you did both? Buy a $300,000 house instead of $500,000. Put 20% down, $60,000. Smaller mortgage, lower taxes, less maintenance. Take that extra $200,000 and invest it. Over 30 years, the $200,000 grows to $3.5 million. You still own a house. It is paid off. Worth maybe $700,000, but you also have $3.5 million in investments. Total net worth, $4.2 million. The person who bought the $500,000 house has $1.2 million. The difference is $3 million. Same starting amount, different strategy, 3 times the wealth. Most people do the opposite. They buy the biggest house the bank approves. They stretch their budget. They spend 30 years house poor with nothing left to invest. Meanwhile, the person who bought the modest house and invested the difference is financially free. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this. Real estate is not a bad investment, but it is not the best investment either. The best investment aligns with your life, your goals, and your ability to let money compound. If that is a house, great. If that is stocks, great. If that is both, even better. But do not buy a house because you think you are supposed to. Buy it because it makes sense for you. And whatever you do, do not let it stop you from investing. Because 30 years from now, the difference between these two decisions is not small. It is life-changing.